What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Peak Performance Engineering. Today, I wanted to give you guys an update on my 150cc American Sportworks Go Kart that I swapped last year to a 440cc Duromax. And I haven't done a whole lot with that kart. I basically got it all swapped out, and then we started to have some issues with the torque converter that I'd purchased from Amazon, which was supposed to be a 40 series torque converter, but in all reality, it's just really a 30 series that's made for a 1-inch shaft. And so the problem we've been having with this thing, of course, is it's been throwing belts. So I ended up buying a couple extra belts, and they were still just kind of tearing through them very quickly. So I've been kind of going back and forth for about the last year because I didn't want to spend the big bucks on a Go Powersports 40 series torque converter, which is about $369. I just looked last night. So that honestly, that torque converter costs more than the whole motor. I think the whole motor, was like $300 or even less, 260, 270. So it's hard to justify to spend that kind of money when, really all I need are some new pulleys. I already have the backing plate. I've already modified it. So I got to looking around yesterday online, and what I found was a seller that was selling actual 40 series, or, everything's made in China, right? They're all knockoffs, but 40 series pulleys that I can just use with my current backing plate. So it'd still be kind of a 1-inch, shaft pulley, and then still a 5/8 driven pulley. But it does look like it takes the right 7/8 wide V-belt, like a 33 7/8 40 series belt, because right now the current kind of 30 series deal, it takes the little bit less wide, like a 3/4 inch belt. It's not exactly a V belt. One side's flat, one side's a V. And so apparently that belt's not as strong, and that's why you're having a lot of issues. So let me kind of show you real quick what I bought on Amazon that I've got coming. And kind of the plan for this thing is at first I bought just some belts. So with the current 30 series, I'm going to try to just put a 40 series belt on there, see if that'll work. I doubt it will, but the belts were like $18, so I figure it's worth a shot before I take it all apart. Try that, I'll run it, I'll get some videos of it running, we'll see how it works. If it doesn't work and I still choose that belt, then we're going to go ahead and swap those pulleys out for the 40 series stuff, and then we'll see if that solves the issue. Now, if it does, those pulleys were only about $100. So $100, you can actually get this 30 series kind of kit off Amazon right now for $60 or $70. So altogether, you'd still only be at about $170, even if you bought that really just for the backing plate and the cogs, and then you kind of swapped out the pulleys. It would still be quite a bit cheaper. So that's kind of what we're going to try. So again, I like to do things frugally and save some money where we can. And I think it's better for the community. If this works, it gives guys some options, versus me just going and plunking down almost $400 for something that I barely use, and I'm actually kind of thinking about maybe even selling this thing. And so that's kind of why I wanted to get it fixed. That way I know it's all fixed, and I can sell it on to the next guy, and then he can kind of take it to the next level, maybe wire in the electric start, and do a few other little things like that. But otherwise, it's been a pretty fun, kind of cool go-kart. So anyway, let me show you what I got, and then let's go outside and start looking at some of the parts and start working on this thing. All right, so the first thing I bought, my plan to try, are these belts. So this is a 2-pack of belts. It's only $19. And this should be the right width and the right length for a proper 40 series. Now, whether or not that's going to work with my, kind of Chinese 40 series, which is really a 30 series, that still is TBD. So we'll find out. But if that works, then that could be awesome for only $20, right? And if that doesn't work, then here's what we're going to do. So I ended up looking around on Amazon, and I found this guy, his store, Jeremy Well. Yeah, Jeremy Well. So it's got pretty good reviews, and it looks like this will actually just replace the current kind of pulleys that I have on my 30 series CVT, and hopefully will just kind of bolt right on and turn it into a 40 series. So we'll find out if this works. But I figured if it doesn't, Amazon has a great return policy. I'll just return it. And ultimately, if I need to spend the $300 to get the Go Powersports torque converter, I will, but I figured this is going to be worth a shot to find out if this will work. But this does come with the right belt, so it has the right V-groove, so I'm hoping that this is just a little bit more robust. Plus, in my mind, there is not a whole lot to a freaking torque converter, guys. I mean, it's not a high precision part. There's no reason it should cost $300 or $400. It's crazy. So, I mean, this is all the same crap made in China. So as long as these are the right pulleys and the springs right and all that crap, this should work. So let's give it a shot and see. All right, so we got this bad boy moved into the garage, so we're ready to work on it now. I got the box of the new torque converter wheels, pulleys that came in. So if you guys are new to the channel and you haven't seen this build, I got, I don't know, a few other videos when I actually did the build. So I swapped this from an original 150cc little motor, and I did a full swap over to this 440cc Duromax, which I think the factory rating is something like 18 horsepower, but we removed the governor. We did a couple just little mods and stuff to hopefully give it some more power, so we might be something like maybe close to 20 horsepower without the governor, all that good stuff. So thing should be a beast. So we did quite a lot to it to do that little swap. So once we can get this thing going with the new torque converter, will be good. But you can kind of see some fraying action. So you can see, I mean, this belt has almost no runtime on it, and it's already falling apart. So you can see all the belt kind of dust from getting ripped apart. The other issue is the this main cover back here on the actual motor. I had to reseal that with RTV once I had done the governor removal, and it never sealed right. So I've always had kind of a slight little oil leak. So I think if I do end up removing these, I'm going to just kind of pull it all apart. We're already going to be in there, and just reseal that gasket. Just stop it from leaking, because it's really annoying. Anyway, first things first, I think what I'm actually going to do is just try to swap out this belt. So I'm just going to try to loosen the pulley, pop the belt off, put this new wider belt on from that kit, and then take it for a rip and see how it runs like that. Because, if it ends up running well and it's not chewing the belt, I might just leave it and then, save $100. Otherwise, if it's still doing the same thing, then I'm going to go ahead and try to swap these out and see if that does the trick. All right, guys, so I just started working on this thing, and after looking at it, I think I'm going to abandon the idea to put on this 7/8 40 series belt onto this 30 series. I just don't think it's going to work. Looking right here on this pulley, there's just not going to be room for the wider belt. And then I do see where on this pulley here, I can see where the one side is flat, made for a flat belt, where the other side is V'd. So I don't think it's going to work. I think it's just going to be a waste of time. So I think I'm just going to jump right into disassembling this thing, getting these pulleys off of here, and then we're just going to swap the new pulleys, new belt, and just go that way. It was only $100, so if it'll work and it only cost me the $100, well worth it, especially not to have to mess with belts. The one time last year I was driving this thing, one of the belts actually had broken while I was driving it and literally smacked me in the back. So the belt had just shot up, dude, hit me right in the top of the shoulder. Totally sucked. So yeah, I think let's just go ahead and get this thing swapped out. I also noticed that this pulley to this pulley is not exactly perfectly straight. I can see where there's just a slight, and it's not much, maybe 1/8 of an inch, where this pulley is farther forward than this back pulley. So I can see that. I don't think that's really causing the issue that we're having though, because the belt is fraying on this inside, and the way the pulley is, it'd be pulling it more on the left. So I don't see that being the problem, but anyway, let's get started. Let's open this box up, see what we got, and get started. All right, here's our kit from Amazon. Let's pop this baby open, see what we're dealing with here. So again, this kit, I'll put the link down below. This was like $100, $105, something like that. So supposedly it's going to be the right one. So I can already tell you right away, this is definitely a lot wider belt. It is V on both sides, so it should be the right one. It does say 40 series, 1 inch. That's what we got. That's great. And then 40 series for the 5/8 ribbon, which is also what we got. So good so far. Okay. Obviously it's a little wider for the bigger belt. That's good. I feel like maybe it's a bigger diameter. I don't know. We'll go over there and compare it and stuff once we get the other one popped off. But this is kind of what I'm more interested to see. Okay. So yeah, so that's kind of what I was interested to make sure of, is that this pulley had the V on both sides, and it does. So Not sure how well the camera catches it, but instead of being flat, this is a V and this is a V. And then of course this is going to be wider to accommodate the wider belt. So I think that this is all we need. So if this works, guys, I mean, we basically are going to have a 40 series torque converter for $160, $170 if you buy both of these kits separately. No one sells it together, but buy the cheap 30 series, use the backing plate. You have to modify it a little bit, and then buy this stuff, swap it on, and boom, you got a 40 series for really, really inexpensive. You could probably even sell the extra 30 series pulleys to some of the guys with the Predator 212s. They'll probably buy that stuff from you, and maybe you make it even cheaper. So hopefully this is gonna work. Because like I said, I'd hate to spend $300-$400 for some stupid go-kart parts, you know? I mean, I don't even spend that much on car parts unless I have to, right? But all right, let's get the other stuff knocked out and then we'll do a comparison on this stuff. All right, fellers, so I think our dreams may be coming to an end here with this cheap kind of 40 series swap. So this is the new clutch or pulley, whatever the CVT deal is. This is still the original piece. The new one is actually larger, and this is larger than the original. So you can see kind of how much closer these two pulleys are. And I think once the new pulley is here that's larger too, this is going to be really close. I'm not sure it's going to give us the belt stretch that we actually need. So we'll still have to check. But the other issue is this piece is a lot deeper, and so our bolt doesn't actually come through all the way. So that's kind of our first issue. So we might have to see if we can even get a longer bolt that would come through to allow this to work. And then we still need to get this one swapped out and see. But just holding it up here, this is the new part. So the new part has a really thick opening all the way through, which we'll have to see. But obviously, I mean, this bolt's like a tiny little 5/8 bolt or something. I mean, this thing's made for kind of a monster. So I'm not sure. I think that we do probably need the backing plate and the hardware for a 40 series. So I'm kind of thinking this isn't going to work, but I want to get this popped off, see how this kind of looks, and then we can go from there. But yeah, I mean, she's definitely beefier. But if we slide this off, just to kind of come show you guys the comparison. So between a 30 series and a 40 series, I mean, you can see how much beefier and more heavy duty this thing is. I mean, it's definitely a big difference. So I think we do have to have the different backing plate probably to have the pulleys, like, you know, the right distance apart. That's my guess. I'm guessing they're closer on the smaller guy, but so I'm not sure if this will work or if I'm better off just buying a whole kit. I might send an Amazon email to these guys and see if they offer the backing plate and maybe the hardware, and then I could just buy it that way. Maybe that's cheaper. But yeah, we'll have to see. But that's fine. In the meantime, while I'm figuring this all out, I'll get this all off anyway. And then, like I was telling you guys, I've got to get this cover off here that goes all the way down and then reseal it anyway. So I can get that all resealed, and then we'll kind of figure out from there, you know, how we're going to go. If we're going to try to figure out, see if this will work. I mean, right now we would for sure need a longer bolt here. And it's not even a bolt. I mean, it's something made for this. I'm not sure if I can order this. I'd have to talk to maybe Go Powersports. And then once this comes off, I have to figure out, you know, how this works, because it looks like this is made for a way bigger shaft than what we got. So we'll have to figure all that out as well. All right, so we finally, just with my my little Harbor Freight electric impact gun, I was able to zip that bolt off that other pulley. So we got them all off here. So we can see the differences between the 30 series, the front pulley. I think this is called the driven pulley, right? And then, I mean, just look how much beefier and bigger a 40 series is. I mean, wow. There's just, you know, now that I see it in person, I mean, you realize why this won't work, right, for 20 horsepower. I mean, you really need the beefiness of this bad boy. So, yeah, I mean, same thing with this. Like, look at how much larger the spring is versus, you know, this little dinky 30 series. I mean, it's just, it's real. I mean, it's thick, boys. It's substantial. So It's funny too, this is so much larger in diameter that I can't even get this to go on without removing this shock. The other one would just slide right on here, but I'd actually have to pop that off. But the problem, I think, is that with this backing plate, because this backing plate is made for a 30 series, I think the distance from here to here is not correct. I'm guessing that on like a 40 series, this would be farther out. There'd be a different distance here. So we may have to change the chain around and stuff once we get a new backing plate. But I think that's how we're gonna have to go. I think we are gonna need a new backing plate. I might go online and try to figure out the distance here. I don't know, or I could just pop the shock off real quick and try to put the pulleys on. But like I said, the problem is this will not work for sure because it's not long enough. It needs to be longer to stick through. And then I guess I would probably just need a longer bolt or something. I don't know, maybe the bolt I have will work. But that's one thing I was going to mention to you guys. What did I do with that bolt? So this bolt and this piece came with the 30 series. And I think I had it in my other video, but basically we had to kind of shorten this thing to get it, for the pulley to be at the right, to be at the right spot basically. So this thing still needed to be cut down a little more. It still wasn't really tight. So that was kind of ghetto, but that's what you got to do with these little, for $60, if you do have like a Predator 212, this thing, it worked great. It was just killing the belt on. I think the problem is probably this isn't strong enough, and it probably wasn't, the belt was probably spinning is what I really think was happening, right? It just was never really locking it with enough force because there's so much torque and stuff in the motor. That's kind of my guess. But anyway, so I think what we're going to do is bite the bullet, and now it's just going to be a matter of, are we going to spend, $350 or $370, whatever it costs for a Go Powersports 40 series, or I did see there's a couple other companies that make some like $200-ish 40 series. I'm also going to contact these guys that I got the pulleys from. I think it's Jeremy something on Amazon. So I'm going to try to contact those guys, find out if they sell a backing plate. Maybe I can just buy their backing plate for $100 or something or less. And then I've already got their pulleys here, so then I can just put it all together. So I'm going to check on that, and then once I get that all figured out, I'll come back with an update. All right, so actually, guys, I just went ahead, I zipped off this backing plate for the torque converter, and I tried to kind of do a mock-up just to double check, but check it out. So this is a 30 series backing plate, just trying to, bolt on some 40 series pulleys, and it's not going to work. Look at how close these two pulleys are side by side. So I don't want to really open this belt, but my assumption is that the belt will be too big because, again, I think the spacing between this shaft and this shaft on a 40 series is probably larger to accommodate these larger pulleys, right? And so that's kind of my thought. And so, yeah, so I'm going to try to do some Googling on that to find out. But I'm guessing we probably can't just, somehow use that backing plate. We probably do need to go ahead and actually, get the right 40 series backing plate, which could be a good thing because part of the issue we had with this backing plate was that we had to actually trim this down. So this piece of aluminum here where you check the oil on this side, I had to actually cut that lip down like, I don't know, a quarter inch. And then I had to shave down the little cap. And I think that's part of my leaking too, has been just from here. So I might have to actually put another O-ring in and kind of stop that. But that's kind of good because I don't think the actual cover is leaking. I think it's just that. Or if I do get a new, like for example, Go Powersports setup, I don't need to have that cut down at all. So I might just order a new, this is probably like $20 for a new OEM cover right there. And then that way it won't be cut down, won't be all kind of ghetto rigged. So that might be how we go. So let's do some research, find out, we'll come back and see how we're going to proceed. All right, so after doing a little bit of research, this is what I ended up doing, or what I ended up ordering. So there's a company called the Rop Shop. These guys have their own website, but I ended up going through Amazon because it was Prime and it'll actually be here by Friday. So today is Monday. So basically, the only thing I really needed was their backing plate and then also this shaft, right? Because I couldn't use my current backing plate because this distance and this distance seemed to be too close together. And then I didn't have a jack shaft or whatever long enough. So we're going to give this a shot. I looked through some of the comments. One of the guys did say that he had a Duromax, and this thing was able to bolt on. So I'm hoping it'll work. We'll see. If not, at least it'll give me maybe some dimensions on this that I can, then use to figure some other stuff out. So I'll probably end up returning the belts that I already bought and then the pulleys that I already bought. But I'm just going to hold off and wait until I get kind of all this stuff together, and then that way I can take any measurements I need and all that stuff. Because what I don't want to have to buy is the freaking Go Powersports $370 torque converter. I mean, fingers crossed, because honestly, if this is so much money, I mean, I would almost just go, I could go and buy a piece of 3/8 steel for $30 probably and just drill it out, cut some holes, and, weld the backing plate on here that's needed for the jack shaft. And I can make this thing for probably $75, and just keep the $100 pulleys. I don't know. It's just, I mean, if this thing was like $270, I might just buy it, but for almost $400, like I said, it's just a ridiculous cost. I mean, it literally costs more than the motor, like, so I can't justify it. Ultimately, if I really, really have to, this might be how we go, because we know that this will work, but I just don't want to spend the money. So I'm going to give this one a shot. I'm hoping this will work for us. Because even the one that we have now, the 30 series, it worked great. I mean, there was no hesitation. There was no issue. It worked good. It would just kill the belts, right? But as far as performance go, it worked. So I'm hoping that this will also work and it'll keep the belt from dying, and then we will be good to go. So I'll get an update with you guys later in the week when this comes, and the next chance I get to go in the garage and do some tinkering.